In today's video, I have 3 brand new Criterion 4K discs to talk about, and if you watch this the day it goes live, you still have a few more days in the Barnes & Noble 50% off sale. Also, if you're a UK collector, these are all UK releases as well, so you should be able to get your hands on them. Let's begin with Guillermo del Toro's Nightmare Alley, which has just had this new 4K release from Criterion, which includes not just the theatrical version, but a brand new black and white director's cut, both of them in 4K. Whichever version you watch, I think this is a great film, which really went quite under the radar when it was released a few years ago. In this noir-fueled story, we follow Bradley Cooper, who plays this man. He is conning people as part of this carnival act. He's pretending to be a mentalist so he can communicate with the dead and bring messages to vulnerable people. And as we follow him through the story, we see the effect that his work has on his own spirit and his own character. This is not the first version of this story within the Criterion collection, because there was a film in the 1940s which was also based off the same novel that Del Toro has based this on, and I actually have that release here. This is the Edmund Goulding version starring Tyrone Power, and this is equally as excellent as this. But this video isn't about the original film, I just thought I would give this one a shout out. I really do think this is a beautiful film, both in the original theatrical colour version and in this new black and white version, which is 9 minutes longer. I know that this film had a bit of a rough time during production, which Del Toro talks about on the commentary track, because it was made just as COVID hit, so they had to pause the production for 6 months. But during that time, they were able to work on some of the dialogue and the characters and things like that. But then ultimately, when the film was released, people still weren't going out, and so people weren't coming to the cinemas to watch films, and it didn't make all that much money. Also, I think some audiences weren't attracted to this film because Del Toro was leaving behind some of his more fantastical horror elements. This film is very much set in reality, although it is shot through the lens of someone who is very much interested in horror and the fantastical. It has a great cast too, not just Bradley Cooper, but Cate Blanchett, Willem Dafoe, Toni Collette, Rooney Mara. So it's a film that I think, even though it's only just a few years old, it does demand some sort of reappraisal. And this is one of my favourite 4K releases from Criterion this year. Then we come to Hell's Angels, the film directed by Howard Hughes from 1930. This is one of the very first adventure action movies in sound cinema, or at least one of the most memorable ones. It's a story about 2 brothers who join the Air Force, and they're in love with the same woman, and we see them as they go through various things in World War I. And they notoriously had a horrible time during making this film. It was a very difficult production. I know the film was originally intended to be a silent film, but then with the advent of sound and seeing the success of sound cinema, Howard Hughes delayed this and turned it into a sound film. I think it is a key film in the history of war cinema and action cinema, and it's a film that for a very long time has been quite difficult to watch on home video. I don't recall this having a Blu-ray release, at least here in the UK, and to see it here on a 4K disc is a great thing. As for the quality of the 4K presentation, they've gone back to a duplicate negative for the film and restored it in 4K. Now, I would say temper your expectations, because this is a bit of an inconsistent image. That's due to how the film was made. Some of the sequences in this film are in colour, some are in black and white, they were shot differently. The film wasn't necessarily lit perfectly in every single scene, so you can see some of the cracks in the production here, and that is presented in the version that we watch on the disc. So I think in a vacuum, it's a presentation that is not going to blow you away. However, given the history of the film and how old it is, having it in this form is superb. And this is probably the best the film will ever look. And when this got announced by Criterion, this was a real surprise for me. It's not one that I was expecting coming anytime soon, so I'm very glad it's finally here. Then we come to the film El from Spanish filmmaker Luis Buñuel. This was made during his exile in Mexico, where he made a number of great films which have been sorely missed on high definition for a long time. So when this one got announced, I was personally overjoyed because I've been loving the works of this filmmaker for so many years. And if I can just give you another recommendation, which is aside from the Criterion, if you can get your hands on the Radiance releases of his films Viridiana, Simon of the Desert and The Exterminating Angel, this is a fantastic box set and a great entry point into the works of the filmmaker. But that recommendation aside, this film is Buñuel entering proper melodramatic stuff. This is about this woman who is newly married to this man, and she starts to slowly work out that he might be a bit crazier than she ever thought he was in terms of paranoia. And like much of the filmmaker's work, there is an element of critical subtext to this film. So as well as having this central thrilling story, you have all other things to delve deeper into if you so wish, which is also aided by the fantastic special features that Criterion have compiled for this release, including an appreciation by Guillermo del Toro, who I believe has been helping Criterion assemble some of these recent Mexican 4K restorations. Up until this release, again, it's a film that we haven't had great access to in any good quality, so to have it on this 4K disc is truly excellent. And I really hope that we have more to come in terms of these new Mexican 4K restorations. So those are just my quick thoughts on these new 4K restorations from Criterion. And looking back now at the year, because we're moving into 2026, this really has been a good year for Criterion. So many surprises on 4K and Blu-ray, and these discs are an example of that. So if you would like some more Criterion recommendations from me, go and watch some other videos on my channel. I've been covering Criterion for almost 10 years now, and one of my recent videos was looking at Criterion releases where you get an extra feature film in the special features, which I highly recommend watching. So until next time, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you soon.